Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. So it's the usual stuff, something from the last week, games, movies, and TV, bit of working out, and that's probably about it. If you're not watching us on YouTube, please jump over to YouTube and check us out. And if you wouldn't mind, just cheeky little subscribe, click for a like, all that good stuff. That'd be really good. So yeah, here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Right, there we go. You have got to love the fact that every single time I try and start a podcast now, nothing works. I'm sure that sounds amazing. Nothing works. It's just one of those things. Nothing works. I'm looking at the lines look right. Oh, now the lines are bigger because I moved the microphone. Guess that's how that works. Hi, it's me. I'm not going to do the usual because, that's getting boring. And by usual, I mean like an additional introduction. I don't mean like, the podcast. A little bit out of breath. Had a big tea. I don't normally have my tea before the podcast. Had a big tea, just like vegetables on top of vegetables on top of vegetables. With a little vegetarian sausage on the side. Big tea. Drank a cup of coffee, came upstairs. It takes like 9 hours to plug all this in to find that it doesn't work every single time. To then try and work out what it is, and then it's that setting that changed, but then I didn't ask it to change. The joys of trying to get stuff to work. So yeah, now I've sat down, I feel a little out of breath. Right, disclaimer time. You probably want to strap yourselves in on this one, kids. The list, I'm not going to lie, there are times when it's difficult, it's hard, it's not the easiest thing in the world to write a list of stuff to talk about with essentially 7 days. You will know that there are times when I've been like, oh my god, the list, and sometimes it's 8 days, and various things like that. This week's list, just to say it wrote itself, it's been a busy old week. I feel like I should be in like a nuclear bunker at this point in time, reporting from a nuclear bunker. I have literally no idea what the world will look like at the point this is released. Part of me suspects that the internet won't exist by the point this is released. Coronavirus, man. Or what am I supposed to call it? Human malware? Malware? You got to protect that monetization. Yeah, I mean that's running wild right now. Right, I'm going to give you a heads up. Massive amount of stuff to talk about from the last week. It is COVID related, some of it. It just goes to show how, like, I write the list as the week goes on. And it's like, oh, I'll put that on the list. That's something to talk about. Put that on the list. That's something to talk about. I've got 2 things on the list about the virus. Let's call it that. I don't know how I'm supposed to refer to it. One is from earlier in the week, and one is from the last couple of days, last day or so, and they are vastly different. So, why the fuck have I written that down? I have watched a stand-up special. Not something that's been often mentioned recently. I had that massive point in time where I just watched back-to-back stand-up specials and did like one podcast with something like 6 specials in. And then I don't know if I've watched all that much since then. I watched a movie, not everybody's cup of tea, but it was my cup of tea. We've got a couple of games to talk about, and we've got the usual way of finishing the podcast. That's just trying to give you an idea of what's in store. There's a lot, so rather than dilly-dallying, we should probably get cracking. A self-observation. That's how we're going to start today. A self-observation. Have you ever had somebody point something out to you that you didn't realise about yourself? And then, once it's been pointed out to you, that's all you can see. It happens with other people. Like, if you've not noticed something about someone else, and then somebody points something out to you, it's like, oh, have you noticed that person... I can't think of an example off the top of my head. But then from that point on, that's all you ever see or hear or, think. I don't know who it was. This is the thing. I don't know who it was that said it. One day I was having a conversation. I remember it being... I don't remember the subject at all. I just remember I was quite passionate about it, which is often something that happens. And I spoke at great length. Very passionate. Finished what I was saying. And somebody else... And this is the thing. I don't know who it was. So I'm not going to throw someone under the bus for something. So I don't know who it was. Somebody said... Wow, that was a lot of like. And I was thinking, what an odd thing to say. So, a bit of time passed. And I got thinking about what that person had said. And I was thinking, was that a reference to something I'd said? And I was thinking back, and what did I say? What did I say? How would that relate to what I said? Thought for a little while, thought on, and then realised what the person had meant. Again, like I say, can't remember who it was, and that probably isn't important. I say the word like a lot. And now that it's been pointed out to me, I can't stop hearing it when I say it, realising that I use that word a lot, and something else, trying to work out where it's come from. So I've traced it back to, there was a point in the 90s where, so I'll have been at sort of, presume secondary school, and it was a thing. It was a thing in the 90s. The word like became a thing. And I'm fully aware that the word like existed way before that. But it was a teenager thing. We just said like a lot. That has obviously somehow, some way stuck with me and become a cornerstone of my vocabulary. If you go back to the start of this podcast now, play it from the beginning, you will be able to physically hear the points in time where I've gone to say like, realised, stopped myself and said a different word, because that is what I spend my time doing now. So it was kind of like, the reason I'm talking about it is kind of like a bit of a social commentary. Things that you don't realise about yourself or others until it's pointed out to you, and then that's all you can see. But not only that, it's the trying to rewire your own brain. I've done this a multitude of times when I've had realisations about things that I do a lot, or things that are potentially annoying, or that sort of stuff. And I've had to then physically attempt to rewire my brain. And it's difficult because you become hyper aware of it. You're like, oh, I can't say that word anymore. So I would naturally say it at this point in time, so I have to stop myself and then say something else, say a different word, describe it. It's not like something, it is something, or it isn't something. So yeah, that was something that's happened in the last... if I'm honest, I think it happened a while ago, and it's just been this slow trickle-down effect where I've been trying to stop myself. That's the first thing, stop myself, and then correct myself. Like I say, go back and start this podcast again, listen to it from the start, and you'll realise that there are points where I've gone to say that word, stopped myself and said something else. So there, living proof that I'm not perfect. And I know what you're thinking. But it's true. Right. That's got that out of the way. So, like I was saying, I wrote at the beginning of the week, I wrote a list. I've got to make a list. Everybody loves a list. Podcast loves a list. And I wrote on my list the virus, the name of the virus, which we're not going to use. And then I put toilet paper and hand sanitizer. I honestly don't know where the world will be by the time this podcast comes out. I have already mentioned that. At this point in time, I was coding a podcast today, which was from 2 weeks ago, where I was like, tell you something, this virus, it's getting a bit intense, isn't it? Closing things down and stuff like that. That was 2 weeks ago. At the beginning of... between last Monday and today, so 1 week, our biggest concern was the lack of toilet paper and hand sanitizer. This point in time, I've seen videos of supermarkets in America where toilet and hand sanitizer is the least of their, and it's not the least of their worries, but that was the first thing to go. They've turned off the freezers because the freezers were empty. I know, Jesus. I know a couple of people have said to me that they've been to supermarkets on an evening, so quite sort of late-ish. They've gone to the supermarket and there have been not only entire shelves empty, some freezers have been empty as well. That could have been the time of day, or it could be that things are worse. I'd seen a statement that had been released by what was supposedly all the all the British supermarkets, saying we're all working hard to get you the stuff that you need. Please bear with us, but please shop responsibly. I honestly don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. Which is a real shame, but I am honestly not going anywhere near that rabbit hole. So, yes, we need stuff. We've got a party to prepare for, although who knows whether that's going to be a thing by the time it's supposed to happen. I'm very much in the sort of, we should work on the principle that everything's happening, although there's been stuff that's come out today. Basically, I think we're heading towards a complete shutdown of the country to contain, I guess. I don't really want to go into self-isolation. I was talking today about if we had to go into self-isolation, and it was a case of saying, we won't be able to do this, and we won't be able to do that, and we won't be able to do the other. And I was like, oh my God! I won't be able to go to the gym. Worked out, though, that can still go to the gym, because one thing that has actually, happened is nobody's in the gym. It's amazing. I go to the gym at my normal time now, and I'm lucky if there's one person there. It was getting a bit crowded just before all this started. I'm not saying this is a good thing. What I am saying is I am in the gym on my own more often than not. It is what it is. I think there's been stuff released today saying that pubs, restaurants, places like that should close. I think the general consensus on that one is that people work on the principle that, it's when you say, oh, you should close, or, you should not go to work. There was something about Virgin. The company wants their staff to take 8 weeks unpaid leave. But then it's something to do with they're going to spread that cost over 6 months or something, I'm not sure. It's all designed around saving the company. I don't know how I would feel about that if my employer said the same to me. I honestly don't know. So yeah, the virus I mean, 2 weeks ago I was saying it's getting a bit intense, and now I'm saying it's getting really intense. I would love to know at what the last point somebody was able to buy toilet roll off the shelves was. I've been to Asda, on lunch times, on the days that I've been at work, and they haven't had any, and you kind of do have they had a delivery and it's all gone before I've got there, sort of thing. At this point in time, I don't need toilet roll. Who knows? That may change. So yeah, it's a bit intense, people. This will probably come out in a month's time, and I'm very, I've said it a few times already. I wonder what the world will look like at the point this podcast comes out. It's strange to look that far ahead and think, what will things be like? I wrote something down on my list. I'm looking at it now thinking, I don't know. I have this thing at the moment that, like I was saying, I write my list. I had a lot to discuss. I have nearly gone through all the stuff from the last week, so maybe I overestimated that. So there's only so many times a day in a week that you can podcast. The virus is going to impact podcasts. It's already impacted or it's going to impact the football podcast because the football season has ended. It's going to impact the whole avocado, I imagine. And I'd booked a podcast for Wednesday with Paul and James that wasn't going to be football related. There is a possibility that the whole situation may affect that as well. But I've got this thing at the moment that I've just got like this need, this hunger to podcast. I don't know whether that's something to do with my mental health. My mental health isn't super brilliant at the moment, and I find podcasting to be like free therapy. But it could be that. It could be the new equipment. I love technology. Like I said before, technology doesn't always love me, or doesn't often love me, as we can see by the beginning of this podcast where I was complaining about it. But I do love technology. So having these bits of equipment and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to have this sort of stuff. I've been trying to do various different bits of things to improve the podcast so that I can get the podcast out further afield. I've been doing various other bits of promotional stuff. Got some stuff. I've got some things in the pipeline to get to help with promotion and stuff. I wanted 2020 to be the year of the podcast. In all ways that can be meant. I love podcasts. I love listening to podcasts, being part of podcasts, having a podcast, doing a podcast. Sometimes the editing can be a bit of a chore. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. But it's part of it, and I do love the process. I say to people, it keeps me out of trouble. I dedicate a massive amount of time, a massive number of hours through the week to podcasts in general, whether that's listening to, they download themselves, so it's not a massive job to download them. But doing this podcast, doing other podcasts on the network, on CookieCast, coding and editing. I say to people it was designed to keep me out of trouble. I know what that phrase means. I imagine the people I say it to don't, but that's not what it's about. But yeah, there's just this hunger, this want to podcast. Now I'm starting to think it might be the therapy side of things. Mental health is particularly low at the moment. Got a lot of stuff going on that's kicking the shit out of my mental health. And one of the biggest issues I've got at the moment is the literal moment that my mental health wavers, I immediately go straight to my number one safety, which is, right, let's eat everything in sight. So now I've got that to deal with, where it's like, you don't need to eat everything, you need to go to the gym and burn off all of the stuff that you already ate. And I'm saying, yeah, but we could just eat this. Well, alright, you want to eat that? You eat that. You will have to work twice as hard in the gym. Oh, I can do that. I'm dedicated to the gym. I'm hardcore in the gym. I can do the gym. Then I go to the gym and work half as hard as I intended to, which is, don't know, man. Mental health. It's a real frigging kick in the pants. But yeah, I don't know the actual reason. I might have covered it there. It's just this want to podcast. Which I'm sure for you guys, the guys that tune in, week out, day out, calling to one of these new podcast apps. CookieCast releases podcasts almost daily. And when I look at my release schedule, I go, oh yeah, we do. It's not true. But some weeks, there is nearly one a day. Right then, let's talk about the weekend. At the weekend. baby, baby. So, at the weekend, absolute shit ton of podcast coding. That is the way things go. My week sort of working on a rolling 2-week sort of thing. 1 week, there's very little podcast coding done over a weekend, and the weekend after, I have to dedicate one or both days to getting up to date. The weird thing is, not including this that I'm recording now, the one that I was coding earlier today was the second to last one that I had to code. So I was almost bang up to date. And I mean, when I say up to date, I'm probably past up to date because I'll never get that close. So, good to be organised. One of these days, I'm going to get organised. Saturday, wanted to spend some time, child-based time. Did that to a degree. Reason being is that Sunday was getting up early I would say for a Sunday, but that's not. Let's face it. Every now and then there might be a lion on a Sunday. Every now and then. Other times there isn't, and other times you're up early doors. And this Sunday was no exception. However, that was not for the normal reasons. That was because I was going out for the day. Have a little sippy sip of the water. Where was I going, you might ask? I was going to sunny Bury. Or as it's spelt, Bury. Yeah, I know. I was going to Bury. Right, so going back a few weeks, podcast alum, Sam, had told a couple of us, myself and Paul, that he'd been to a stag do, and they had gone to an arcade in Bury. Now here's the thing, the moment the word Bury came up, my ears pricked immediately. I was like, Bury? There's a Tim Hortons in Bury. What's this about an arcade? So, now then, do I need to I'm very torn on this one, because there was just about the right number of people. And I'm like, if I get this out into the world, are loads of people going to start going? Apparently, that was it. It's called Arcade Club. And it is Europe's largest free-to-play arcade. So Sam was telling us about this place, and he's like, okay, so you get there, you pay, we thought it was £15, it was £16. For adults, that is. It's cheaper for children. You pay £16 at the front door. You go in, it is split over 3 floors, and everything, barring, I saw a couple of machines that I think you might have had to pay for. Barring a couple, and I do mean literally a couple, every single arcade machine in there, free to play. We worked out that if me and Sam, or me and Paul, because I played House of the Dead twice, if we had paid £1 a go for the number of continues we used, we would have spent about 60 quid playing House of the Dead. We did finish it. Likewise for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, if we'd have paid for that, again, well, we were playing 4-player at one point. it was, as I kept saying to people, as a business model, it's off the charts. It's fantastic. You pay at the door. You don't pay anything at the time you're there. They've got food and drink. I think they had like a bar on every of all 3 floors, but the top floor was more of a kitchen where you could get hot food, pizzas, nachos, hot dogs, things like that, and so reasonably priced. At one point, James Panas turned up holding a beer. He was like, "This beer cost me £3.50. And it was a pint of lager. Pint of beer. This cost me £3.50. So I was like, go and find anywhere that you could get a beer for £3.50. Sam got a pizza, cost him a £5. So food looked really nice from what I saw. I didn't eat anything. And the beer was apparently reasonable price. I bought a cup of coffee. It cost me £1. You know, stuff like that. You can't argue with those sorts of prices, especially if it's reasonable. You know, from what I saw, the food was good. The cup of coffee I had was lovely. So, I'm getting a little ahead, but I did want to let you know where we're done. I heard, Sam told us about this place, told us about all the arcades they had. We were blown away by the concept. And there's a Tim Hortons in Bury. That's not the reason we went. We went to the arcade. It just sweetened the deal for this man right here. So, I'm saying we have to go. We should go. We'll jump in the car. We'll go. So, whittled it down to yesterday. Everybody could do that day. We wanted Edward to go. Mr. Dench, we wanted him to go. Ed doesn't do travelling. I'm not going to get into that. I was going to say now, I'm probably not going to get into that at all. I do feel it's long overdue to have Ed on a podcast. Tried to have this conversation with him the other day, but he is one of the people from our department that's been moved to a different office to protect from the virus. So, it's difficult to talk to some people over Skype. Ed's a very busy man, what can I say? Paul spoke to Stu from Wrestling Podcast fame. Invited him. He was like, yeah, let's do this. So, myself, Sam, Paul, James and Stu agreed that we would go to the arcade in Bury. And I managed to get everyone to agree to go to Tim Hortons. So we went to Tim Hortons. We drove over to Bury. Perfectly fine drive. We sat nav said an hour and a half, which it pretty much was. But I'd set the postcode. I set the sat nav to go to Tim Hortons, and Tim Hortons turned out to be on a high street. So we did there was a little roundabout. We went round that and parked literally round the corner. Went to Tim Hortons. Paul and Stu had gone to a completely different Tim Hortons. So me, Sam and Panas went. We went in there. Got a couple of bags of coffee. I got a cruller to eat, a coffee to drink. Then I was thinking, do you know what? This coffee's hot and I want something sort of now. So I got an iced cap. Oh man, they are so good. I got some donuts and some Timbits to take away to bring home for the family. And that was that. We had a lovely time there. Jumped in the car. Drove the 4 minutes round the corner to the arcade. Pulled up. The place looked pretty run down, pretty derelict, other than the fact that there was an escape room next door that had an ambulance outside. Not like someone had called an ambulance. Like the ambulance was there for the escape room. It was part of it. We parked up. We went in, paid, and yeah, 3 floors of arcades. Not just that, they had some of the biggest TVs I've ever seen. With some had Mario Kart on, some had FIFA on, and we're talking like current Mario Kart and current FIFA. A lot of PCs and a lot of consoles that had Fortnite on. I've spoken at length about my dislike for Fortnite. So that was a bit sort of, do they have to? I can see why. I mean, it was absolutely rammed. Those sections were rammed with kids. But at the same time, it kept, like, the majority of the kids away from the arcades. One of the rooms on one of the floors had an entire wall of pinball machines. I spent quite a long time playing pinball. Played on two, not one but 2 Elvira pinball machines. They were entertaining. Terminator one. The Metallica one wasn't working. I was gutted. And now I think about it, I don't think I took a picture of it. Yeah, speaking of which, I took a load of pictures. This will be the point where I'm now scrambling whilst I'm doing the coding to send myself the pictures to add to the video on the YouTube. Took a load of pictures of any arcade we finished. I took a picture. Then I took a load of other pictures. The place was fantastic, and as a business model, me and Sam were saying it can only be like someone's won the lottery, somebody's become a millionaire, and spent their entire life saying, if I won the lottery, I'd open an arcade and not charge people to play. Because that's the only way that has to have come about. Either that or somebody who had a really, really good idea. People are spending money as they come through the door. But like I say, if they'd have been charging us to play those arcades, they wouldn't have got as much money out of us. That's for sure, because we just wouldn't have paid it. It's because it's free that you keep playing. We eventually finished House of the Dead. That was... it felt like running a marathon at points. We finished Turtles. I spent a really long time playing the game Rampage. When I was younger, I had Rampage, and I didn't like it. I never got on with that game. I just never really saw the point to it, kind of like the movie. I just couldn't get on with the concept. But I must have spent about half an hour yesterday playing Rampage and loving every minute of it. That game's great. Played a multitude of Time Crisis games, Point Blank. They had you call it a skeet shoot, but it was on like a big projector screen. So you had like a gun and a big shotgun, and you shoot the clay pigeons. I got 13 out of 15. I was quite impressed. Once I realised that the sight, like you had to look down the barrel of the gun and shoot, and if you did it right, if you aimed properly, it was nailed on. So it took me the first one or two to realise that. They had these arcades that was like a shooting game. You shoot the targets. Could not work out because the last thing that it brought up was a cup. And when you shoot the cup, it was like you were shooting it for real, and it explodes. I just kept saying like Stu and people like that, saying how is that a thing? I can't imagine the machine's just full of cups. But it was really good, super cool. We got there just after 11, and we left bit after 5. I think every single one of us was absolutely wiped out. I was exhausted. I'd had to get that cup of coffee because I was flagging so badly. My eyes were so dry. Spent the majority of the day standing up. You know, when you're playing arcades, there was a few driving games. The odd driving game you could sit down and play, but you'd only be sat down for 10 minutes at the most. A lot of standing up, a lot of walk around, a lot of going between the different floors. Absolutely fantastic experience. A great time. I'm led to believe there is one in Leeds, but it's not as big. Like I say, the one in Bury is the biggest, the largest arcade in Europe. I presume that's majority because there aren't any others. I can't imagine arcades are a big business at this point in time. But yeah, what a great place. Weirdly, it reminded me a lot of going to Diggerland. That probably makes not a lot of sense, but that feeling of what a great place, what a really well put together, well thought out, just thinking outside the box kind of place. Would love to know. I did kind of want to. With doing the podcast, there's a point that I've reached now where I need to break through a barrier, which is I need to be able to go and speak to people and say, hi, I've got a podcast, I've got a YouTube channel. Is there any chance that you'd be interested in doing like an interview? It's free advertisement, that sort of stuff. I need to do that because that's all I wanted to do all day. All I wanted to do all day was like stop saying the word like, and then what I wanted to do was find someone like a manager or an owner and say, this is the situation. We all do this podcast or these podcasts, and we've thoroughly enjoyed it, and we're going to give you a big shout out. But is there an opportunity for us to talk to you about it? You know, get an idea of how it came about. So I probably need to do that. I'm starting to think that email might be the way forward. Excuse me. This is why we need a producer. If we had a producer, I could get them to do all those jobs. But we don't. So, you know, needs must and all that. So that was the weekend. Drove back, took Mr. Panas home, Mr. Muscroft home, got home myself. Yeah, a thoroughly enjoyable time was had by all, I believe. And that was that. So there we go. That was kind of everything from the last week, really. Let's get to the fun stuff. I always say that. And part of me's like, I imagine there's somebody who's tuning in just to hear what's been going on in the last week. You know, people who genuinely care. I know who you are. And I'm happy that you care about me and the podcast and that. And those are the people that are about to tune out when I start talking about stuff that they probably don't care about. Whereas there's the other group of people. They're just here for the entertainment. And with that in mind, let's crack on with the entertainment section of the podcast. I have watched a stand-up special. I mentioned this earlier. I watched Mark Maron's latest stand-up. It's gone on to Netflix a week or two ago. I was always going to watch it. It was just when I was going to get round to doing that. It's called End Times Fun. There's a lot of apocalyptic talk in it. You might have noticed that that's kind of bled into this podcast a little. I'm very easily influenced is the problem we've got there. Matt Maron is one of those people. Weirdly, I was the podcast I was coding earlier. I'm at a point where I'm talking about Matt Maron and him being interviewed on things. I had to go and look for a picture of Matt Maron for the YouTubes. Check that out if you haven't done already. I'm sure it's there by now if the internet still exists. Matt Maron, comedy-wise, is one of those. I'll always check out his comedy. So he's got that going for him. I wouldn't put him up there with the greats of your Bills, your Berts, your Joes, your Toms. He's probably the next tier down. Easiest way to explain it is I'm never, it's not thigh slapping good comedy. It's more of an observation that's mildly amusing. Which for a stand-up comedian is probably not a great review. But he does have a really interesting take on the world. There was an aspect of this one that I watched today which was very, very Bill Hicks. Very Bill Hicks. It felt like, almost like he'd watched Bill Hicks and then gone out on stage. I'm not saying that he'd stolen it. It was just the delivery, the subject matter, the way it came across. It just reeked of Bill Hicks, which isn't a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. I laughed. I didn't hate watching it. You know, I know the way that the things like this come across because I know that this is sounding like a bad review. I am giving this a good review. I will watch it again. There are a couple of points, for various reasons, that with stand-up you have to be fully engaged. You have to be in the room, in the moment, with it, so on and so forth. If you drop out for any reason at any point in time, you're not going to immediately jump back into it. You know, a lot of stand-up is stories, and if you've missed part of a story, that story might be the first part of a 4-part story. So if you drop out and drop back in, you're probably not going to know what's going on. There's a couple of points that for various reasons, I'd dropped out and trying to slide back in was difficult because that's how stand-up is. I will go back and I will watch it again. That in itself is a good review. I've watched stand-up specials that I've gone, that was fine. That was good. Whilst at the same time knowing that I would probably never watch it again. So that in itself is a good review. It was good. Again, it's so hard to review something that's good. It was good. It was enjoyable. If you like Maron, if you like his stand-up, if you like the podcast, if you like any of the shows he's done, give it a go. I imagine if you are in the camp of liking all of those things, you're either have already seen it, are already going to watch it, or I don't know. So my recommendation, especially since you're going to get this recommendation a month after I've watched it, and probably 6 weeks after it came out. Yeah. But it was good. I watched it. I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was good. Now then, I've made a note of something. Now, usually on the list, it's stuff that's happened. I went to an arcade yesterday. I watched a stand-up special today. I'm about to talk to you, ladies and gentlemen, about something that hasn't happened, but is imminent. Looking at the time right now, if Netflix work to 1 minute past 12 is a new day, we are 2 hours 57 minutes away from Bert Kreischer's new stand-up special being released on Netflix. Hey, big boy, tomorrow. I don't know how Netflix work, quote unquote, tomorrow. I'm sure I've had this issue in the past where their tomorrow is like 9 o'clock in the morning. But what I can say is this is not an advertisement. If there's one man that does not need help with advertising, it's Bert Kreischer. He is a walking advertisement, which, you know, in his trade, in his job, in his life, that's how it's got to be, man. I am probably too excited. I don't know if that's the thing. To the point, and here's how it works. I get that excited about something that I then realise, oh my god, it's going to be rubbish. Oh my god, it's going to be terrible. That's how it works. I get that excited about it. I'm sure by now anybody that keeps coming back, and I thank you for keeping on coming back, anybody at this point in time who does keep coming back will realise, I'm down with the Bert. I, like so many other people, discovered Bert Kreischer through seeing the Machine story on YouTube. I was like, wow, that is hilarious. Found that there were a series of stand-up specials out there in the world. I was like, gotta check these out. They're on Netflix, gotta give them a go. There's one floating around on YouTube from years back. Realised that I'd seen Bert Kreischer previously on something at some point in time, and I'd passed comment on why the fuck is this guy doing stand-up with no shirt on? What is going on there? That was the comment that I'd sort of made at the time. I was that distracted by the man with no shirt on that I never took the time to listen to anything that he said. Probably should have done that, because this was a while ago. I listen to his podcast, I listen to the stuff that he does with Tom, I listen to the stuff he does with Bert. I say that, I haven't actually listened to a full episode of the Bill Bert. I would take you down the rabbit hole of how I work through podcasts. Pretty sure I've done it before. Let's just say they haven't had enough episodes for me to listen to the first one yet. However, I have watched part of the first one. I am a fan. In the true definition of the word, fan. Secret Time is my favourite all-time special. I would put it up there with Richard Pryor, Live on Sunset Strip. Hands down one of the best stand-up specials of all time. So I like to say high praise. The Machine special's great as well. They're that good that I'm not allowed to watch them anymore because I don't want to ruin them for myself. So we get a new Bert special tomorrow, and I'm terrified that it's going to be not as good. But I'm also secretly hopeful that Bert's going to deliver. This was the tour that I didn't see him on. The weird thing is that the tour was called Body Shots World Tour, and then the special's called Hey Big Boy. I don't know. That's probably just the way it's done, I guess. You probably name a special off the back of a tour, so I guess that's the way that's done. I'm super excited. It's St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. I tried to get a thing going with Mr. Williams. He turned me down real flat. So, fuck it. I'm going to watch it on my own. That's how I roll. That's how I roll these days, kids and cats. Got to do things on your own. If you ever want to do anything, do it on your own. People want to join you, that's up to them. But if they don't, fuck them. So yeah, that was just a thing. Let's talk movies. I've been trying to make an effort, kind of. This is the point in time where I tell anybody who does not appreciate animated movies, does not appreciate DC animated movies, so on and so forth, it's time to fast forward about... Let's go 4 minutes on this one. I have a lot to say about this. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes to fast forward. Then I'm going to start talking about the DC animated movie, Batman and Harley Quinn. Are you ready? Fast forward now. Right, now we've got rid of them guys. Let's talk some sweet DC animated movie. As I'm sure, again, long times all know, I love a DC animated movie. I'm not going to lie. As you will also know, I have like a bit of a scale for these things. Some of them are fantastic. Some of them are really good. Some of them are okay. Some of them are not great. If you've ever seen Gotham by the Gaslight, ugh, that was a slog and a half. Recently watched and reviewed Teen Titans versus the Justice League. That was really good. And with the girls being into the Teen Titans, we've seen Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go, Teen Titans Go to the movies. I'm happy to sit down and watch those all day, every day. But I lean a bit closer to the older animated movies, let's say. Like a 15 plus. So Batman and Harley Quinn. Didn't know anything about this one. This was one that was bought as a gift. I looked at it and went, cool, I'll give that a watch. That's how I kind of do these things. Had the opportunity to do that on Saturday, because Saturday was a rest day, and I was honestly, I was trying to have a little bit of me time. Like I say, mental health is in the toilet at the moment. It's not like, it's not bad, it's just bad. So I'm trying to, a little bit of self-care. That makes it sound like, shaving and manscaping, which I don't do either of. Maybe I should. Meh. I just wanted to take a bit of time. I wanted to watch a movie. I wanted to play some games. I wanted to have a cheat meal or a cheat meal day. Anyway, let's get back to it. Those fast-forwarded people will be coming back soon, and we won't have finished talking about the good stuff. Batman and Harley Quinn. Put it on, started watching it. Didn't realise that when it said Batman, what it meant was... Now, I'm going to try and get through this without having to put a pillow over my lap. What it meant was Batman the Animated Series. Batman. Whew, raging boner. I love, and I do mean love, Batman the Animated Series. It's one of the finest pieces of artwork there has ever been. The design choices, the voice acting, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, just a hands down fantastic work of art. The choices that they made to create that series were so right that it was like echoes through time. It can still be heard now. The right choices were made with that series. Fantastic. This is literally a continuation. It's just like a continuation. It's brought a little bit more up to date, but still done in the style of Batman the Animated Series. So I was super on board very early on. And it just got better from there. It was rude. It was rude, people. Some super rude jokes in it. Some super rude stuff in it. Batman was funny. Now, that can be a double-edged sword. I seem to remember when I saw the movie, the live-action movie, the Justice League, saying, when Batman is the comic relief, you know something's gone wrong. Especially in a movie that has the Flash, because that is literally the Flash's role in the Justice League. But Batman was funny, but it worked in the tone it was done in. Super fun, super enjoyable, really good. Like I say, I was on board immediately once I realised it was done in the style of Batman the Animated Series. As I always say at this point, if you like the DC stuff, if you like the DC animated stuff, this should be up there. If you were a fan of Batman the Animated Series, this is literally just like it's a continuation. It's like it's the next day. Bad guy is Poison Ivy, which I didn't realise. I thought it would have been the Joker, but it wasn't. Joker barely gets a mention, let alone not being in it. Super good fun, which is always refreshing. A lot of fun, really well done, just top-notch DC animated movie. So basically, if that's your bag, get all over this. It was good. It's one of those things. I'm watching Full Metal Alchemist in the gym. I am still watching Full Metal Alchemist. Like I said a while back, I'm pretty sure Brotherhood is 52 episodes. So I don't think it should be a surprise I'm still watching it. I'm not slacking, because, we'll get to that. I'm doing my bit, and I'm watching Full Metal Alchemist. I'm sure it's well into Series 3. I think it was episode 7 or something that I was on last night. They're moving to the north. So we're about to go into the... was it the Wall of Brig or something? Is that what it's called? It's got Major Armstrong's sister. Anybody who knows it knows what I'm talking about. Anybody who doesn't thinks I'm talking gibberish right now. It's great, it's fun, it gets me through the time on the treadmill. I really need to look at my time on the treadmill. I'm jumping the gun here. Don't do that. Let's talk computer games. I was talking about Metal Gear Solid 5. Didn't realise. I was saying that Metal Gear Solid 5 had this really long name. Didn't realise that the name of it is actually even longer than I thought. So it's Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. But then there's another bit to it. Don't know what that is right now. Does it say something about espionage? Don't know. I'd said to you guys that I thought it had the vampire treatment. I thought that the game had the difficulty reduced. That is not the case. It was just me playing the beginning of the game. Got a bit further into it and was like, oh no, now I remember. Yeah, it is this difficult. Did a mission, which is a timed mission. You have to destroy a multitude of vehicles. The minimum you can destroy is 1, so you have to do it. You can't just let the time run out. I'm running all over the map. I'm doing all the stuff. I remembered this mission. This was one of the big problems. Because I played this game to such a degree previously, whilst I'm playing it, I'm remembering how difficult it all was. I think I managed to take out 3 vehicles while I was playing this mission. And I died. There was 3 minutes left on the clock, or from 15 minutes. And I died. I'm like, that's fine. The game should reload me. Basically, the point before I died, I've taken out 3 vehicles. I'll get some money for that. I'll just let the rest of the time run out. It'll be fine. I did a side mission as well. I rescued a guy from a jeep. So I felt like I'd done my bit. Game reloads, and it's put me right back at the start of the mission. 15 minutes on the clock, running down, it's telling me that I have to destroy a vehicle. And I went, you know what? No, you can fuck off. And I turned it off. I now remember why it was that when I put that game on, it only said it was 46% complete. It was a very difficult game in a lot of ways. It wasn't just like the difficulty of the game. It was difficult for things like that. 3 minutes left on the clock, you die, it resets the clock and the mission. That's unnecessary. And there's no way to save. You can't save in the middle of a mission. Super annoying, super unnecessary. Something else that I'd seen was it told me I had a mission to do where I had to deal with a sniper. And again, I had like shell shock, like flashback to having to do that mission previously, and what an absolute fucking nightmare of a mission it was. And all I could think was, I just don't care enough to keep playing this game. So I turned it off and I've never been back to it since. I have, however, gone back to playing Sniper... Is it called Sniper Elite? Sniper 4. I got the 3rd one a long time ago. I got it cheap. Because I got it ages after it had been released. I haven't played any of the others. I got it as a game, as a kind of, let's give this a go. It was cheap. I'd heard reasonable stuff. I heard good reviews and stuff. Thought it was a sniper game. I thought you spent your time as a sniper. Then I'd seen some stuff about it where you running around and doing other stuff, and I was like, okay, this isn't the game I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be about sniping. Thoroughly enjoyed number 3. Is it Sniper Elite? I don't want to stand up and the laptop is blocking the box. Or boxes, because I still own the 3rd one. 4th one came out. Now then, was the 4th one out when I bought the 3rd one? That might have been how that worked. Because I wanted to get the 4th one, realised I could get the 3rd one, didn't know too much about them. The 4th one was like 20, heading towards the £30 sort of area. Because that had also been out a while. Bought the 3rd one, played it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Felt okay going out and getting the 4th one. The 4th one was quite a lot different to the 3rd one. I remember having a conversation with Pete about the differences between the two. And the differences really put me off playing the 4th one. To the point that I got so far in a mission, and I was trying to play that game perfect. No shots were heard, no shots were seen. If the shot was seen, reload it, do it again. Another game where I know the levels pretty sort of inside out. And I just got stuck on this bit where, because I was trying to play it perfect, I couldn't do it. And that, again, that was the end of that game. This time, when I've started playing it, I'm playing it in the just get through the mission, just get through the level. You've got a sniper rifle, you've got a machine gun, you've got a silenced pistol, you've got hand grenades, mines, tripwires, all of this stuff. Why don't you just use all of that? Use the things at your disposal, even if one of those things is a machine gun. Playing it like that, I'm having loads more fun. And I do mean loads more fun. It's not about, I've got to get the perfect, unseen, silent shot. It's about, do we think I can take out every single guy on this map? Obviously, you get XP for taking people out. So I should have probably been playing it that way previously. I think I have just got up to the mission where I was up to when I was playing it previously. It's been a bit of a slog, this mission. Can kind of see why I might have not got any further. But I can also see that I will get further. I believe I was towards the back end of the mission when I turned it off last night. And barring the fact that I've got to go to the gym in less than an hour's time, I'm hoping to play a little bit later on. So, yeah. Sniper 4. Playing it a different way is giving a different result. Let's say that. I'd like to say I'd give you a full review, but I'm pretty lax at actually giving full reviews. So fingers crossed, I will give you a full review. However, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. That is that, ladies and germs. The only thing that leaves me to talk about is the gym. I'm sure by now you've realised, still going to the gym. I'm sure by now you've realised it has its ups and downs. So one of the nice things about the gym at the moment is it's basically empty. Can do what I want when I want. That has allowed the opportunity for me to do a little bit of running on the treadmill, and I do mean a little bit. I just don't feel psychologically ready to attempt to run. Bearing in mind that the program I'm using on the treadmill at the moment is an absolute monster. It's horrible. I am dripping by the time I step off that treadmill. So to say that I'm not running is to not say I'm not working. I need to do something. Whether it's I need to start doing a bit of running, or a bit more running than what I have been doing, or I need to commit to knowing that I'm going to be on the treadmill for an hour to get a fair distance covered. I don't know which, but one of those two things needs to happen. I don't honestly know if I can dedicate much more time to the gym. It is where it is in my day now because that's where it fits. If it stops fitting, then that's going to be a problem that I would have to look at doing something about. But that would then suggest that it leans more towards I'm actually going to have to go back to doing the running. Speaking of going back, I know at some point I had spoken about, and I have been talking recently about the fact that I've not been seeing the results in the gym. Today was weighing myself day, and having had not the best of weekends, I was expecting bad things. What I can say is I didn't lose any weight, but I didn't gain any. So that in itself is 6 one half dozen the other, really. I'm not going to lose weight when I'm not doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing. So not losing weight or putting weight on is almost as good as losing weight. Sometimes you need that bit of a boost. Because I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted in the gym, I have recently added 2 exercises into my arm workout. One is the military press. I used to do a lot of military press years ago, or a couple of years ago, and I stopped doing it when I went back to the gym for a variety of reasons. Tom Quinn loves the military press, so I've gone back to doing military press. The other thing I've gone back to doing is the bent over row, which is another Tom Quinn favourite. So I've dubbed it the Tom Quinn workout. I've gone back to doing those. I'll be doing some of that tonight. And I've started feeling it. So that's a good sign to me. I've got back into the swing of having powdered protein shakes, and I'm still toying with the idea of adding the odd supplement, maybe. Creatine might be one of the ones. Maybe the odd vitamin here and there. Yeah, it's a weird one. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep you posted. I got this thing about my jeans. They might be the smallest pair of jeans I own, and I was having to pull them up a lot today, which was strange. So I need to look into what's going on there, because I don't feel like those jeans should be loose. So I might have to try and work out what's going on there. So yeah, that's the gym. Like I say, I'll be going in half an hour or so. That's what happens when you start this podcasting like late. Yeah, and take up the evening. That's it from me. I hope it wasn't too long and rambly and all of that sort of stuff for you. If you're not checking us out on YouTube, please do subscribe and comment and stuff like that. I will say that again on the outro to this, I'm sure, but I am trying to beef up the YouTube stuff. I know these ones aren't the best to look at, but I do put time and effort in and put pictures in and stuff, so there's that. Right, I'm going to let you go because otherwise I'll just ramble on forever. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.
So there we go. What do you think of that? Another one done, another week gone, another week closer to, I don't know, whatever. YouTube watchers, make sure you're subscribing, like, share, comment, share with a friend, get them to like, share and comment, get them to do the same, and so on, and so on. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com, check us out over there, send us some love, you can send us emails, social media, all sorts of different love, so do that. So there we go, that's it for this one, and until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.